And we'll read it. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're in open session. Visitors' comments. Would you like to start?
Hi, I don't know where the camera is. My name is Judith Cohn. I'm from Hardwick in West Park. And I want to tell the people of Hardwick that, and especially the select board, that there will be a meeting of the Ware Select Board just now postponed to March 2nd, I believe in the high school in Ware, and I believe it's 6:30, to ask the Select Board of Ware to rescind their vote, the second request to rescind the vote, to give the Lewis Gilbert Trust for Mary Lane Hospital back to Bay State. And a citizen of Ware asked if I could do something about it and get with Hardwick. And so I wrote a petition to the people to rebuild Mary Lane Hospital and start new medicine. I'm asking for the sky as long as I'm asking. And and I would hope that our select board in Hardwick will, again, because they've already written a letter to Ware, but would again get involved, and that we would all get involved, sign this petition or whatever. I'll leave copies here tonight. You can take them, I can print more. Also, I hope that the people of Hardwick will come together, all the people that have been involved in medical issues, and we can all, as one unit in Hardwick, approach our health risks, because we don't have a local hospital or rapid access, and that it's ambulance and all that is, difficult at best to get medical attention. I hope we could talk together in some smaller group. Otherwise, just sign this thing, and that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Meg Hyatt, Hardwick, Charity Hill Road. I've been doing some gathering of information about grants, which has been a hot topic lately because of the school boiler situation, and I know that people are looking at grants. And I'm the current delegate from the planning board to CMRPC, so I do participate in learning on podcasts and so on about different grants coming up. So I've got a list of some of them here that I just thought I would bring to attention, and particularly can follow up with you, Nicole, to sit down.
Justine, close.
Justine. Yeah. I'm Justine. Sorry.
That's fine.
Justine. But just quickly, there's a couple of people are now looking at 3 different grants potentially for decarbonizations of the schools and energy efficiency of the school, mass save. So there's multiple options that maybe you can dip into, even more than one, if you had a sequential kind of a game plan on that. The community one-stop grant is coming up. But that, I got to back up. The Green School Works is deadline of February 13th, so that one is right around the corner. The Community One Stop is coming up for June, which helps prepare sites for development and supporting your downtowns. The Community One Stop for Growth includes money for rural development funds for municipalities, up to $500,000, which you could rehab town-owned buildings for potential sale to a developer kind of thing. There's a new one called Eco One Stop. The deadline is March 20th. Environmental and Climate One Stop, and it seems there's a couple that could benefit Hardwick. There's a lot of interest in the area for it, for culvert replacement and stormwater water management, but also for municipal vulnerability plan over 2 years.
We're in that program. We went through a forum here and what we needed to do to get on. So we're eligible.
Yep. And this, now that we're designated a small rural town by the Office of Rural Affairs, there's no match required. So that's another thing that's changing with some of the grants, is that for rural communities, the requirement for a match is often mitigated. The MVP Planning 2.0 grant is separate from this ECO. So again, it's tough to keep track of all of these. The Paul Brune Historic Revitalization process is different this year. CMRPC, which is our regional planning commission, has already gotten authorization for $750,000 for historic renovation that spurs economic development within rural communities. It will be very competitive, but I think we have a couple of very competitive possibilities. So these are, CMRPC will set up a committee within the region. So it's not like this is going way far away for a decision. It will be much more locally decided on who gets grants. There'll probably be a couple at 100,000, maybe one at 200, maybe a biggie one.
We do have we're in a grant, and it just got published today. So it's to renovate the old town hall.
Yeah.
Townhouse.
Yeah.
So that's in motion, and that's the Broome grant that you just mentioned.
And
So,
we're in the one stop too.
Yep. So just to whether we can go for another one
good.
is here, because I know the Page Building would be an excellent candidate now that they're formed. But all of this, because I know there was a lot of discussion about people going after grants, I think it would be really helpful. And what I would recommend is that maybe a couple times a year, maybe in the fall and then again in January when we get into these grant cycles, to call meetings of interested parties and boards and so on to discuss, plan a little ahead what we might go after, because a lot of these are year after year grants. And if we could just at least start framing out even a 1 to 3 year kind of cycle of let's go for this, this, and this, and then the next year, I think that would be a real benefit to the town and prevent you from listening to people who know half the story. But anyway, I just summarized what these grants are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's 2 copies there.
Mr. Chair, can I say one thing about grants?
Yes, ma'am.
So when we look for grants, we look at what the capital planning committee has done and like what they've outlined as year 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on priority. So that's like the main thing that we look at when we do go for grants. But some of these I will definitely look into, and some of them are already in, but thank you. And I look forward to working with you.
And the other thing I would say is that CMRPC has often volunteered to help us write the grants
Oh, yeah.
and get them, filed when they need to be filed and everything. So they've been very encouraging.
Yeah, they are.
Very good. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Jeffrey Smith, Upper Church Street. So you've had a number of these executive sessions, and seems like this one might have resolved something. I'm just wondering if the board's going to share the outcome of what just happened.
I'm not sure I'm allowed to do that yet, but go out on a limb and say that the board has decided to not take any action.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Ma'am,
Colin Milha, Superintendent, Providence
would you like to
Regional
come up
School
here?
District. Well, maybe not, but I will. I will. So Justine had called and requested a copy of the lease, so I brought you that. So
Mhm.
our lease is, just so you know, it's from 2005. It is signed, but it's
I saw
very
it.
old. Oh, you have it?
Yeah, Jessica sent it to me.
So I know there was a question about that, and then I know at the meeting the other night, there was quite a few questions about the boiler. So I'm happy to just sort of
Thank you.
address those. I know that some questions were asked that honestly, we can't answer, but if I can sort of back up and tie the lease to the boiler. So according to our lease agreement and our regional agreement, when we have a capital project or repair that is over between $5,000 and $10,000, then we bring that to the town of Hardwick because it's your building, and so you have the purview to decide sort of what we do with that. If it's an emergency repair, if the boiler dies tomorrow, we're gonna call you and we're gonna say, the boiler died tomorrow, we're gonna have to replace it, and you know, here are the quotes we got, and this is gonna be your responsibility, we're gonna have to move on it. So, we're not at the point where we think the boiler is dying tomorrow, so to speak. And Kevin, so to speak, and Kevin can sort of clarify this, but I'm just gonna, sorry, I talk with my hands and I'm not Italian.
I don't know, it's okay.
So the way the building was designed, we have two boilers. So it operates with two boilers, a primary boiler and a backup boiler. And he's looking at me like, I'm trusting you to get this right, so jump in.
And they are designed to run together when we have colder temperatures.
Yeah. So when we get temperatures like this, they're designed to run together. The problem we have is that really what we consider sort of the secondary boiler has some leakage. It leaks when it runs and it leaks when it doesn't run. So we've completely had to shut it down. Now that doesn't mean there's no heat in the school. It doesn't mean that it's 40 degrees in the schools. We're paying attention to that. But with this extreme cold weather, are we worried that something might happen?
Yeah.
We are, right? So I just want to kind of state that when we reached out to Justine, our job as sort of the school, because it's your purview and it's your building, right? If you want to look into something different, you have every right to do that. When we get a repair in the building, we make a recommendation for replacement of that repair based on having someone come in, assess the situation that we have at hand. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that make sense to all of you? Okay.
So we're looking into auditing, having the boilers audited. We're waiting on a date on that.
Yes, so we reached out to National Grid and Mass Save, and the first step would be to audit which I mentioned, is to audit the energy efficiency in the boiler situation. So when I have a confirmed date, I'll let you know and we can coordinate that.
What we have to do is find out how to pay for it.
Yes, I figured.
And that's, and we had the special town meeting and it's kind of tricky. It wasn't actually voted down, but it didn't make the 2/3, so it failed.
Okay.
So now we have to look for other ways to pay for it. Excuse me?
Is there, like, what is the next step?
Fix the boiler.
But if it didn't get voted, if it wasn't voted down, as you said, it wasn't actually voted down.
But it was. It didn't meet,
So what
it
is the
didn't make
next
the
step?
2/3
Didn't clear.
majority, so it didn't pass.
So to raise the money, to pull the money out of money that we have in town, which isn't a whole lot, we need to do, I got you. We need to do another special town meeting and have the people vote on it, like they did the other night. It would be good if we had more information. Up till now, we don't. We're learning. So that's where we are now. And trying to get this squared away before we have an actual emergency.
Is there any emergency plan?
No,
that
it
is
doesn't seem that there
potentially
is.
possible to be made? That's my biggest
That's a good
concern,
question.
is can we have an emergency plan in place should the worst thing happen? Because it makes sense to find the money. It makes total sense, and if you can have space and time to find as much as possible.
If we were in May or
it would be
June, we'd be
non-issue.
fine.
Yeah.
Also, there's the question of, do we go for, I'm gonna simplify here, best as I can understand, about a $60,000 item. So if we borrow the money, actually, we're tapped out as far as borrowing money in Hardwick. We can't get a short-term loan where nobody will lend us money. It has to be a long-term loan. So over a 20-year period, we pay something like $45,000 in interest for the $60,000 item. Now, if the boiler lasted 20 years, that would be great. If the new boiler, this boiler lasted, what, how old is the building? 30 years old? Something like that. So,
Yeah, I was the kindergarten class there.
okay, so that's another way to look at it. Do we borrow money? Do we find money here? In whatever we do, we have to get the townsfolk to vote it, to do it. So first thing, I think, is going to be another meeting of the Capital Planning Committee to try to figure out what's next. And then, as soon as possible, I wanted to have the special town meeting. I thought, this is an emergency, no kidding. I worry about this in the middle of the night, that there's going to be a phone call and the boiler will be all over the floor. So, I guess,
Parents, I can be honest, none of us knew. It was, everybody I've spoken to that's a parent, nobody knew, so nobody came. You know?
well,
Not to say anything wrong, it happened quick.
it happened
Yeah.
quick. It happened quick to us.
Is there anything that can be done, again, that what-if planning? Is there anything that we can do as a town, as a,
Well, I would add, I don't want to dump it on the school people, but that would be something to ask them too. What are they going to do if the water starts to freeze? I don't know.
pipes explode?
Lago?
Well, I believe that the boiler was installed in '92, so it was probably designed sometime prior to that time. So we're talking about technology that's 35 years old, and it's burning
Over 200 gallons plus.
270 gallons a day that is running. It seems to me that investing $60,000 plus the loan of $45,000, we're putting a lot of money into old technology.
So,
And we're also putting money into technology which is going to require an awful lot of oil. And, I know that, we need to be able to keep the school running and everything, but is it possible that, I've heard that there are like 18-wheeler trailers that can come in with equipment that could run,
heating.
in the interim
Yes.
to keep the school, viable and everything. But to me, investing over $100,000 in 35-year-old technology, which is going to be using 270 gallons of fuel a day, doesn't seem like a very wise investment 35 years later after that technology.
We agree, and the capital planning agrees. We can't, again, it's the weather that's kind of keeping the angst up. But we have been talking about replacing it with propane. Is this the best time to do that? Do we hope that the boiler continues until warm weather and then we replace the whole system, which makes excellent financial sense? Or do we we're keeping our fingers crossed anyway. I don't know about an emergency plan, so
Well, I would hope that Mass Save might have more information and ideas and avenues for us to explore. So I'm hoping that they can become involved sooner than
They
later.
are doing,
They are-
mhm. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair. So they are involved, they were contacted, and they require an audit done first, that's the next step, so finding a date for that. So that's where we are in the process,
Okay.
but they were contacted.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
This is not a new problem. These boilers have been around, as you pointed out, since 1992, so for it to just be sneaking up on us seems an unfair way to characterize this. I mean, these boilers didn't just get old in the last month. And who contacted Mass Save? Because it wasn't the town administrator, it was actually Judy Horzek that contacted them. And then she gave the information to the town administrator.
She gave me a contact, and I contacted them.
Would have been nice if somebody could have been working on this before it became an emergency.
You mean like 2 months ago?
Or 6 months ago, or a
Oh,
year
sure,
ago.
Absolutely, all those things. And I can point to 50 things like that.
Indeed.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I'd like to ask the superintendent a question.
Sure.
Do you have engineering services that you use that look at these boilers and say, okay, this is the optimum plan to change this to this? Or any of that kind of services in-house or through the school system at all?
We have contractors that will come in.
Well, no, I'm talking engineers that
I know
look
what
at it
you're
and
talking,
say,
sir.
yeah, okay.
Bottom line is, you guys have already looked at this back years ago when you had Guardian come to the school, and part of their scope of work was to replace these boilers with propane. My understanding is you abandoned the project back then because it was so expensive to bring propane to it. So you have looked into this before. As part of that project with Guardian, you had the pumps in the boiler room replaced, but the project
Mhm.
was stopped after that because once you realized how much it was going to cost to bring propane there for the propane boilers, my understanding is the project was stopped. So it was looked into before.
Okay, well, they do make energy efficient boilers that burn at like 99, 98% efficiency. Just so oil's not like the worst fuel source in the world.
Mr. Clark, do you know when that was?
I don't, it was before me, I'm being told that from my engineers that have been in the building for the last 26 years.
Okay.
But the pump systems that are in there are all new technology.
Okay.
And as part of that was, this whole project was supposed to happen.
Okay.
Part of the issue that you have in the school is not just, I mean, we're talking about the efficiency on these boilers, but it's a 32-year-old boiler. The efficiencies have changed so much, you know, on oil fire burns, et cetera, but it's the installation and stuff in your school. I mean, that's where a lot of your heating load is going. Through the window seals that are all blown, you know, your insulation for your roof level, everything's going out through the roof. So it's not just the efficiency of the boiler, there is other attributes to it.
Yes, sir.
So I know we're talking about various thermal modes, talking about heat, propane, oil. Is this not the time to seriously be considering heat pumps to gain the advantages of air conditioning, as it is also the designated shelter for a heat emergency and for changing
No, I have
times?
to correct you. It's our designated public shelter. There's
For
nothing about cooling center. We have a grant, the MVP grant is toward setting up AC at the school for a cooling center, but it's, until this year, it's never been talked about.
But we now have on the table the opportunity to look at a much broader picture if we're talking about replacing both boilers, which we should be. Do we look at a complete changeover, given that we're talking about putting solar cells on the roof and other upgrades? Do we look at a longer-term picture, getting away from fossil fuels on site? I understand electricity is generated somewhere, somehow, but getting away from fossil fuels on site and gaining the efficiencies of heat pumps.
Yes, now is obviously the time. It's only the question of the boiler lasting.
Right.
So, yes, ma'am.
So we're talking a lot about the costs related to the boiler. If worst case scenario happens, sorry, I'm very focused on this because obviously it's gonna affect me and my kids and everybody if worst case happens. Who is the town responsible for that? Would insurance cover emergency situation? Has that been looked into?
Do you have interruption of business insurance, ma'am?
We do. We have insurance. If the boilers
So it
were
would be under
to
the
be a
district.
problem, we do have, the district hold insurance for that. The other thing I'll say, and this is not necessarily gonna make you feel better, but, you know, if we had an emergency and we needed to do something in the school, we've done things like we could transport our Hardwick students to New Braintree grade school for something like that. That is obviously not ideal, but we would be prepared to do
Yeah.
those kinds of things if that answers that question for you.
That, yeah, because I think that's worth considering when you're thinking about costs. If that could be covered, right? The worst case scenario could be covered. Don't want it happening. But if it did, it makes sense to go after the money that could actually benefit the school long term, right?
Yeah.
So the
Maybe what, capital planning's been batting this around even before this came up. Perhaps a committee, a working group to look at some of these choices. And we have people in town who know, you know, HVAC and the rest, so you'd probably be interested in being on that committee? Yes, ma'am.
I think it would be important because at the last meeting where our vote was taken, a lot of people, I attended, and a lot of people walked out saying it doesn't seem like there is a plan for an emergency. Apparently, if an emergency
We always have
occurs,
an emergency
Yes.
they
plan.
have a plan. So I think
Yes.
that would be important information to get out into our
Yeah.
community to allay the concerns that I think a lot of parents have right now.
I think even speaking from connections, you know, I think that some parents are concerned, but I think some parents aren't even aware that this is something going on, right? So, and I know Colleen is already aware of this, we've spoken, but that communication of what's happening with parents and so that parents are in the loop, but also, like you said, that reassurance of there is stuff, because that, I know that makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Well, ma'am, you
Probably would be
do,
nice.
and not to put it on you, I mean, we can post narrative on our websites.
Oh, we will send a family email after
Okay, good.
tonight.
That's
We'll
what I
have
was
the
gonna
principal
ask.
send out an
Yep.
email, no worries whatsoever.
Okay.
Honestly, we had some confusion with the meeting and our communication with Justine and thinking, I don't know, I thought the FinCom had spoken about it and so on and so forth, so, we didn't communicate it because we honestly
No.
didn't put two and two together that it was going up for vote, so, you know, that did not help.
At what point would it go up for a vote again? And I apologize.
It takes a couple of weeks to post you're talking about another special town meeting. So what has to happen is the articles have to be created, we have to sign off on it, then it goes, we post them, it has to be out in public for a couple of weeks. So nothing can happen legally inside of, you know, 3-4 weeks. Yeah. Especially if we can come up with something
Yeah.
to ask. Because last time, I don't think, I know I didn't have enough information to really know what to ask. So, and I think that was a problem out
Yeah.
in the room. So,
What I think happened at this last meeting is it happened too quickly. A lot of the committees that ordinarily would be involved weren't. We had very little information to go on. And, you know, you got a lot of townspeople like you that are just finding out about it. And if we had more information, if the finance committee could have looked at it, capital planning could have looked at it, maybe something could have been put together that would have passed. Right now, we're not there. I don't think we're there.
well, it'll be a while before we get there.
I understand your, FinCom didn't look at it. We did speak to an Eric Fleming. I don't know what.
Yeah, Eric
his role
Fleming
is.
and Mark Korzick, they're
Yes,
capital
yeah,
planning
okay.
committee. So
Yeah.
Mr. Korzick is also on the finance committee, which didn't look at this. Capital planning did.
Okay.
And anything over $25,000 has to go through capital planning, and then they suggest to the selectmen a course of action, so again, we can tune this
I had
up.
spoke with Eric Fleming on numerous occasions with regards to this, and I know that he had done some research with questions that you guys have had.
Right,
Like R.J. McDonald, he had spoken with them about the probability of bringing in propane, et cetera.
right.
So that
And-
he had some
and-
answers.
And construction grade heating systems, emergency heating systems,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. So we just have to we have to boil this down so that we know what to go for. Mr. Cole?
Thank you. The other night at the special town meeting, which of course wasn't televised, and so many people don't know some of what we all learned, and I just wanted to reiterate, make sure I understood this correctly. So the two boilers are of the same vintage, put in when the school was built 32 years ago maybe. One of them that failed had been repaired several times prior. The other one has been repaired once, but as I heard, doesn't show any imminent signs of failing. The idea that we would spend that money in the old for the old technology now to replace it was unattractive to some, because it does seem to be a time when we should be looking at the bigger picture and alternatives and so forth. And yet that's going to take a lot of time, I imagine, even for various grants, etc. So I guess my questions would come down to this. Clearly people are looking at grants and alternatives, and that's great. It'll take some weeks, I know, before a better understanding of the viability of that path comes out. Capital planning has it on the agenda now to look at all of that. The town can come back for the same purpose for a special town meeting to consider borrowing again, and as you just pointed out, just has to be the warrant created by the board and then posted for a couple of weeks. I'm not sure how you feel about this, but it might be possible to plan on that meeting for some time down the road, gather all the information we can about whether there are alternatives we should be considering, and then go into that meeting, that special town meeting, able to decide whether or not that expenditure had to happen, rather than having that whole fix pushed down another several weeks beyond the time we know whether the grants and such are going to work. So the emergency comes if both boilers fail, and maybe that's likely because the second one's under extra burden now, working alone. Maybe it's going to last another 10 years. But I think the concern, and it's good to know there's a backup plan, but the concern is that we stretch out this period of vulnerability too long. I think it should be stretched out, but only while we gather a realistic idea of what the alternatives are. And if that can happen in 2 or 3 weeks, great. And that would be able to be considered at a special town meeting when it could be decided that the old technology is what we have to do. Otherwise, it's all 6 weeks off, imagine, before something could be put in.
Well, 6 weeks to make the decision.
Yeah,
get
and
the
another
vote,
2 at least weeks.
And then at
to
least
install.
another 2 to get the mechanics there.
Right.
So 2 months, it's a crapshoot. We're waiting for something to go wrong. It might not go wrong. So we still need to look at so we don't throw our money away, which puts more time on it and more uncertainty. So having a backup plan, I was thinking of New Braintree. It's a beautiful building.
It is a beautiful building. We do have several classes over there, but I'm sure we could make it work for an emergency situation.
Yes, sir.
When you start talking about 2 months, we're talking about you're into April.
Right.
So then the problem begins to become not so
The
critical.
sword of Damocles gets smaller and smaller.
Yes.
Yeah, so,
Emergency goes
you know,
But it
And
should-
if we have a backup plan, and if we could bring in an industrial, system that could run temporarily for a month or two, it would be expensive, but.
Thousands of dollars a day.
Yeah, but, we're talking about putting over $100,000 into old technology, and so, I think we have to really push the pedal to try to assess what options are available and what it would take, and whether they're viable based on, whether we can get the grants or not. But, it definitely should be on the front burner.
It's a good analogy. Yes,
Yes, I'd like to say that I want the residents of Hardwick to remember that this school building is our biggest asset in the town. And it is our responsibility to maintain it. So it is something that we need to get that audit done and look at the alternatives, but we can't delay this forever either. It's very important that we support our school system, educate our children in our town, and we need to vote on this at a special town meeting, which I would suggest with the word that gets out, that it should be in the elementary school,
sure.
because it's going to be, I would hope that the parents of the children would be there to support their education of the school and a good, safe, warm environment in the town of Hardwick. But this is a beautiful building. It's aging, but we need to support the school and maintain that building, because that is our biggest asset. We don't want it to fall and rack and ruin like some of the other buildings that we have in town that have been under neglect, so.
And we're on track for your roof this year. So we got the MSBA grant for the roof, so that will help resolve some of the loss of the heat, so
Yeah.
that's good news.
Very good.
Yes, ma'am.
It looks like you're looking at 2 town meetings, and as I imagine it, the first would be an emergency plan to cover the period of vulnerability, and that would require a certain amount of money for the town to approve. And then at probably the regular annual town meeting, you could have the time to resolve the ideal plan and do all the research, and that if you structure that right now and vote to do that, then people are put to work. I'm told by somebody that works in Cambridge that they have vertical heat pumps in their schools and buildings, and their technology is way ahead of us. Why should we take a back seat in this rural and make do with technologies that are obsolete before you even buy them and pay for them?
Please.
Mr. Chair, I'll answer
Please.
this. One of the problems with the new technology is, as he mentioned, is the building envelope and the insulation, the windows, everything like that. It's not completely sealed. So a geothermal loop isn't going to work at total efficiency in Hardwick without doing that. Okay? But there are benefits. You can use it for AC, stuff like that, and I'm not sure exactly what's in the school for a heating system, if it's forced hot air, a water loop or whatnot. I mean,
It's a water loop.
it is, okay, so you can use
A
a
water loop with a lot of-
geothermal in that instance
A
for
lot
the
of
AC.
pneumatic controls too.
Okay, so, I'm just saying, like, with the new technology, you have to seal the building.
But if we don't seal the building, if we're using the old technology, we're just sending oil out through the same windows and the same roof without insulation. So Mass Save would come in and tell us what it would be to seal those windows and to insulate properly and so forth, so that we're not throwing money away, whether we're using a heat pump or whether we're using an oil boiler.
Exactly. I'm just trying to give information to everybody out there so they understand. Geothermal's great, super efficient, but you gotta have the right circumstances to make it work. That's all I'm saying.
Site specific. Ms. Cohen, would you like to speak?
Yeah, a comment and then a question. And the comment was, having been at the special town meeting last week, I think the biggest issue was we just didn't have enough information. And to spend money not knowing what we're really needing didn't seem like the smartest choices. And if we do have at least a few more weeks to figure this out and make an informed decision, I think that's just going to put the town in a better place to make a choice. My question is,
Agree.
the superintendent said that the lease was old. Is it current?
Yeah, so our lease is 20 years old. We just redid our regional agreement, and we had asked to hold on the lease so we could match the language from regional agreement to lease. So our regional agreement committee is done at the next, I think, what's our date, Justine? The 9th, I think. Do you have this?
Yep, I got
On
it.
the 9th. We're gonna do a listening session for our regional agreement, and then once we get through that, we will revise the language in the lease to match the regional agreement, because right now it actually doesn't. So yes, and then that lease can be as long as you want. I mean, the last one was 20 years. If you want it to be 5, it doesn't matter, but we can deal with that when we're through the regional agreement process.
And these meetings and study groups and everything will all be
Yeah.
posted so that you can find them.
Yeah, it'll be before your meeting on the February 9th here.
What?
The listening thing for the regional agreement.
Good. You want to say that louder?
Oh, so February 9th at 6 o'clock, the superintendent will be here to do a presentation on the regional agreement.
Mr. Cole?
I wonder, when the school was built, how it was financed. I seem to remember it was around 1990, right? So, was that a 30-year debt exclusion? Has that come up? Or, I know we've been obviously paying for however long it was, if it was a debt exclusion. When does that end, and when will that, in a sense, free up, in a sense, some of the costs related to the school? Do we know that?
I have no idea. It was before my time, but there were other agreements and projects. I know the administration building over at the high school was one, and there was another addition, but I don't know about the elementary school, except I watched it as it was building.
So we charge the town of Hardwick a debt amount each year. The only thing that you pay for a debt amount currently is on a chiller project for the middle high school. Other than that, your schools are debt-free, I guess. Does that make sense?
Okay, so maybe we were paying for that, but that
I'm sure.
term is over?
Yes.
So
I believe so.
assessment in a sense went down?
Good. Anybody else?
Yeah. I just hope it was good news coming.
Okay, I'm going to move on. Approval of minutes, September 29th.
Mr. Chairman? Oh, go ahead, Bill.
All right.
You beat me.
Well, I'm just saying, before you make a motion, Jeff, I'd like to amend the meeting minutes. Okay? Right now, let me see.
So
I move to amend the September 29th Select Board meeting minutes by striking from the minutes. EV asked JC had heard back from the accountant prospect. JC said she had not. With the following language to accurately reflect the statement made on the record, following the conclusion of the legal budget under her report, the chair asked the town administrator whether she hired the new accountant. The town administrator responded that the candidate had been issued an offer letter, that he was reviewing it, and that she was awaiting his signature. She further stated that the offer letter had been provided to the candidate earlier that afternoon. This is to ensure that the minutes are accurately reflected of the discussion that occurred.
I watched the meeting back because he has some questions about, Mr. Tinker had some questions about some other, that I couldn't find in the recording.
I can give you exactly where it is, Mr. Chair, if you would like that information.
Mr. Schaaf?
Where is it in the,
It's in the transcript, and it starts at 1 hour and 20 seconds.
No, I'm talking about where is it in the meeting minutes?
It's not. It was omitted originally,
But
and
you
if we
went
bring
to
up...
strike something,
Yes. I'll bring it up. I said, at the end of her legal budget... I'll get it from you. Under... monthly reports for budget. It's the bottom line. EV asked if JC heard back from the accountant prospect. JC said she had not.
okay, that you're striking that whole,
Strike it right out of the record.
I said that though.
Sir, it's n-
You said what?
I said that I had not heard back from him, that actually, I said that, that's why it's in the minutes, because I said that.
the chair, I mean, if we had a board, we could play the video, but I don't have the transcript, but this is exactly what was said. She finished her report, you asked her this
Okay.
question, Mr. Chair. You asked the town administrator whether she had hired the new accountant. The town administrator responded that the candidate had been issued an offer letter, that he's reviewing it, and that she was awaiting his signature. Further stated the offer letter had been provided to the candidate earlier that afternoon.
And that is in the minutes, but not published. You would like that put in the minutes?
Yes, I would. As a record, because this was a question asked by the chair to the town administrator with an answer back from the town
Understand.
administrator. Okay.
okay, and that's exact verbatim? what
Well,
was-
I took out one word, which was, he said essentially. Because it wasn't necessary. You got your intention here.
Honestly,
Okay.
I don't care.
I don't really care, but I'll look at it.
Okay.
When you give me a chance to view it.
All right, would you like the table this time?
I would.
Okay.
Okay, Dave?
Anything else?
Well, that's just on September 29th.
Right.
I don't have an issue with December 22nd.
Okay, then I'll make a motion, we approve the meeting minutes as written for December 22nd, 2025.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, can I just ask a question going forward? Is it possible to get these meeting minutes with page numbers and references to areas? So we can, like, when a question's asked, where is it? I can say, hey, it's page 8, so, section 10.
You'll look into that.
Okay.
Okay, appointment of Nick Gaumond to acting fire chief. He is acting as the fire chief. He was the deputy fire chief. And Josh Pease has resigned. So, I would like a motion
I
to
move
appoint.
to appoint Nick Gaumond as acting fire chief.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion of public records fees.
Yes.
This is your item.
Yes, it is. If it's okay, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
Okay. I requested this agenda item, and it has to do with public records requests. And if you give me 1 second, I'll find my notes.
Can you come back to it?
Sure.
Discussion and vote on electrical inspection fees. You see, you're still stuck with it.
So this was a request from our electrical inspector, Don Manso. He would like an increase to, you'll see the printout that he created in your packet. If voted on tonight and approved, I'll put together something a little cleaner, but this was his request. He put the same request in for New Braintree, so this would also match the New Braintree numbers.
Mr. Schaaf?
I'll make a motion to approve the schedule fee as written.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion and vote on the Board of Assessors tax map.
This is something that that the board votes on annually. This is the request of the Board of Assessors for their GIS service agreement.
Make a motion, we approve the GIS services agreement as written.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So I just have that for you to sign at the end of the night.
Okay,
Sorry, I'm just looking for things
they're not numbers.
to look at. No, mine are actually, sir. Yeah. All right, coming back to the agenda item I requested for tonight's meeting. And before we begin, I just want to be clear about procedure. This is a select board discussion. Comments will be limited to board members, staff, and other elected officials. May provide factual clarification only if requested by the chair. Please hold all commentary unless recognized. And questions will be at the end. Okay? And the agenda item.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I guess that's the way it should run anyway.
All right, well, just,
Do you have a copy of what, not to interrupt, but
I do, actually.
a written copy that it
I
can read
have,
as you
that
go
I can
along?
share. You can look at these. It's reference to these 3 invoices. This agenda item concerns public records requests processed by the town administrator, who is a records access officer. The focus is on fees, how the fees were assessed, collected, and accounted for under Massachusetts Public Records Law. All right, so during this period, the town collected a total of $650 from a resident for 3 public records requests. The invoices issued by the town state that the town would not begin or proceed with the public records request until payment was received. Conditioning production on prepayment is not permitted under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 66, Section 10. After payment was made, the resident received only partial records. He did not receive the full records requested or what he reasonably believed he was paying for. The town retained the full $650 and did not issue a refund. There was no itemized accounting of time spent researching, reviewing, copying of records, or no reconciliation showing actual time worked with refund of any unsecured balance, as required by statute and supervisor of records regulations. And these are the 3 invoices. So if you have any questions about this, or
Do you have any suggestions?
I do. I suggest that we refund the citizen the $650, and the reason why is,
He doesn't feel he got his money's worth.
exactly.
What was missing from them?
I'm not gonna get into particulars, but I think he only received like 20% of the overall.
And what was the reason?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is actually not a board issue. This is set by Mass General Law. This is the Attorney General's office, and this resident may petition the supervisor of records if they are unhappy, which they did, I think, for a couple of them, and the supervisor of records sided with the town because the town provided responsive records in a timely manner when we were supposed to. This is the process. It's set by the Attorney General. It's not a board issue, and it's not going to change.
It is a board issue, sir, when it comes to public funds and money we receive.
If it's a question of money,
And he paid for a service that he did not get.
Mr. Chair, I didn't finish.
Well, Mr. Chair, I didn't
excuse
ask.
me, please.
Point of order,
Stand-
Mr. Chair.
Stand,
All right.
stand down for a sec. You can finish now, ma'am.
Thank you. So, the way the law is written, the town spent the time searching for the records. That's the time this resident was billed for. We complied with Mass General Law, the Public Records Law. We complied with the AG. and what they and I'm not the records access officer, I'm the backup records access officer in the event that the town clerk is not available. So this was, we followed Mass General Law. This is not set by the town, this is set by the state. And the petitioner may petition the supervisor of records. There is a recourse if he is unhappy with this.
Did we take the money?
Of course we did. Because we followed the law. And we charged them the accurate amount that we were supposed
So,
to.
Mr. Chair, under best practice, okay, even when the town administrator is designated as a record access officer, that designation does not waive statutory fees, documentation requirements, or reconciliation of obligations. Best practice requires accurate accounting, transparency, and refunds where required.
Oh, absolutely.
He got no record of time spent. The missing records, he didn't receive those. And if you want, we can pull up the emails of everything he requested, have a full discussion on it, or we can, decide to give this man back his money.
He got 20% later than he asked for?
Yeah. So if you want to take 20 off the 650 and give him that, but something should be done. And if you want to,
I'd like to get this squared away and never look at it again.
I would recommend-
Do you have any, excuse me, do you have any suggestions, sir?
20%, how accurate is that figure?
well, it's real simple. I'm just taking an educated guess, sir.
Just an educated guess.
Educated guess, but since no records exist of time spent, okay, how do we judge that?
I go back to my original question.
Which is required.
What exactly is he missing? What exactly was asked for? What is he missing?
Well,
If we could get that
Yeah.
printed up, then we could make a decision. I would like to give him a refund and
Okay.
clear the decks here.
okay,
So, but I don't know what, so I would recommend that we table this as well, and
okay.
Bring it up at our next meeting.
Okay, so I would like the record to reflect that, a refund vote will be put on our next agenda to address this.
okay.
A discussion and vote.
A discussion
And
and
vote.
vote.
Yeah. Fair enough?
Good.
All right.
Do you
thank
want your,
No, you
your
can have that.
I need more paperwork.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Town administrator report?
But first, I just would like to say that the town I would speak to the town clerk, because I don't think it's a select board decision for the refund.
I'll talk to the town clerk.
That sounds great.
Well, it should be done in a public meeting, sir.
I'll talk to the town clerk.
Okay.
So I met with the select board chair, CMRPC, and Hubbardson officials on the MVP project. Had a call with Joe Ferguson from Central Mass Regional Planning on the CDBG project. So we are looking at ADA improvements for the police station, this building, and also the next phase of the Memorial Park project. I attended a Memorial Park meeting with Central Mass Regional Planning, the police chief and Eric Fleming. We had a meeting with the residents on Highland Terrace to discuss the new infrastructure project with the highway superintendent, highway clerk, and Central Mass Regional Planning. I think I've spent a lot of time with them. We held our bi-weekly financial management planning meeting with the assessor, accountant, and treasurer collector. We were working on 2 police department grants. We actually were awarded one of them, which I didn't know at the time I was putting this together. So we actually were awarded one of the grants.
What's the grant for?
So it's a small one. We apply for it every year. It's a wellness grant through our insurance company. Last year we applied for it for the highway, we didn't get it. This year I applied for it for the police, we got it. Next year I'm probably gonna do this town hall, and then the year after I'll do fire.
So we get the grant is money or just
Yeah.
an attaboy or?
It's $2,500, so it's small, but something, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm working on the FY27 budget. We have to order a few more budget books, so the next board meeting on February 9th, you will have a preliminary budget in front of you with your budget book. So I don't know, you gave me your budget book, right?
No, no.
Oh,
I returned mine
yes.
from, yes.
So we did order some more. I'll just,
Okay.
yeah. So we're advertising for a wastewater treatment plant operator, a highway equipment operator, and a van driver. We had an interview for a highway equipment operator, so that's actually also gonna be on your next meeting agenda. Had the Ware Radio interview. I attended the Massachusetts Municipal Association annual meeting, received our health insurance ranges, which were bleak. It was really great. I went to a borrowing session for municipal borrowing, a labor law update, and then a fiscal outlook, which was also depressing. Met with the reps for our website, because in about a year and a half, we're not going to be ADA compliant on the website. Met with Mass Municipid on our gravel project, so I have a call with them and our highway superintendent next week. So look for that coming up in an upcoming meeting. Networked with other town administrators and select board members. It was, this is my 7th or 8th year, it was great. I met with our outgoing fire chief and acting fire chief. I met with the acting fire chief, police chief, and the Leicester fire chief on transition and just networking for him and just giving him the opportunity to just, ask questions and, which you saw, you were there. I want to recognize Josh Pease, our outgoing fire chief. This one was tough for his years of dedicated service to the town of Hardwick and the fire department. Mr. Pease is working full-time for the town of Palmer as the police detective. So unfortunately, he just couldn't balance both. So it's definitely a tough loss, and he'll definitely be missed. I met, which isn't on here because we had to reschedule the meeting, but today I met with Lisa Swanson from the Master Plan Committee. So we talked about Master Plan and Christmas on the Common and other stuff. So that was good. Senator Durant and Representative Berthium are holding office hours on February 11th from 10 to 11 in this room. And I think that's all I have tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Selectmen Roundtable?
I just want to give a shout out to our highway department. I work in a town that has 10 times the population of Hardwick. And our roads are 1,000% better than in the city that I work. So I travel a long distance, and our highway department does a very good job on our roads. Even in Wheelwright, they even get us plowed, so.
I'd like to say thank you to the community of Hardwick. The outpouring to my wife, she sustained an injury and she's been laid up, but I just want to say thank you to everybody who's helped with that situation, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Good. Thank you. Okay,
Any more, Mr. Chairman?
I don't have anything.
Just, this is missing a word. I just wanted you to have it. Okay.
Missing a word. We're going to go into another executive session, and you'll all have to leave. And we won't be coming back to an open meeting for a while.
Not reconvening?
What?
Not reconvening.
Not coming back to an open meeting. Per MGL.
Ready?
I appreciate it.
Without the town administrator. So we can discuss this contract. Well, she's part of this.
They all explain the same thing.
Right, so we as a board need to discuss